Hello, my little house-trained ferrets. We're here in Venice, Italy. I'm going to tell you the 5 things you're absolutely going to love about this place, and there's 5 things you might not like so much. So let's start with the first one. First thing you're going to love. Look, no matter how many times you've seen Venice in films, no matter how many times you've seen it on YouTube, how many photos, when you step out of the train station and you see the canals, you see the gondolas, you're going to realize Venice is an absolute slap in the face. The reality of being here is just another level. So no matter what you've seen, when you step here and you realize this is real, this is one of the wonders of the world, the enormity of the work that had to be done to make Venice, you're going to love it. And I guess as you get used to it, this leads us on to the second thing you're going to really love, and that's just the amount of detail. I mean, even here, look around you, there are layers and layers of detail. It is like a living painting. And you don't have to be a photographer, you don't have to be an artist to appreciate it. Not at all. But as you walk around, you realize that all this detail, this is not some fake Disneyland recreation. This isn't some Dubai theme park. No, everything you see here is the result of hundreds of years of human hands, okay, repairing, patching, extending. This is a living city, it's living culture. It's people surviving in, I guess, what is quite a hostile setting. Focus on the detail. So next thing you're going to like, well, you probably heard that Venice is really expensive, and it is. That will be one of our not to like so much. But you don't have to spend a lot of money. You can get around here quite easily. Like it's 1:30 to get the train if you're staying out in Mestre, and that'll take you right into the heart of the city. And speaking of Mestre, if you want to stay cheap, you can stay out. It's only a 10-minute train ride, but you can get in a hostel here for like 33 euros a night. It's going to be a lot cheaper than staying in Venice itself. You can get the little taxi gondola, okay, which we just took now. It takes up to 12 people. Just takes you across the water. It's 2 euros each. You get a gondola ride instead of paying the 80 euros you'll have to for a private gondola. You can stop and have a scoop of artisan ice cream, €2.50. You look around, you can get an espresso for €1.50. Not in St Mark's Square though, we'll be talking about that. And of course you've got the Despar group of shops, which are great. You can go in and buy your lunch there, and they've even got microwaves at the checkouts, or just past that, so you can heat your food up. So you can definitely do Venice on a budget. Another thing you're going to like is the fact that most things you probably want to see and do are free. That's because they're outside. Now, there are lots of things inside to see, a lot are beautiful, but let me tell you, look at the outside. This is where you want to be. All the great sights. It's all out here. Grand Canal, which is this, St Mark's Square, the Jewish ghetto, and you go window shopping. And you can even take a water bus out to the Lido, so it's a beach. So yes, you don't have to spend a lot of money, and the best things are free. And the best bits too, my best bits, are the little bridges that connect all the individual little islands. And they're not these ones here on the Grand Canal, they're right in the back streets. They're absolutely lovely. So I suggest you get lost in them. And the fifth thing you're really going to like is the fact that, well, Just remember, this is Italy. Got the Italian language. Italian language was kind of put together in a way, and not that long ago, to sound beautiful. And it does. It was a conscious effort. How many languages have been formalized to actually sound beautiful? Well, Italian's one of them, and you'll appreciate it. And of course here, the other things that go on with Italy, like gelato and fantastic coffee, you've got all that. And what's lovely is that you can have a lazy lunch anywhere here. You can sit for a coffee and no one hurries you on. Right now in the UK, you might get a few glances. It's like, well, come on, hurry up. You know, we can get someone else in your seat. But here, not at all. Not at all. You can stay as long as you like. The food-wise, you might find is a little touristy. So, but it's, you know, depends where you look. It's all passable. You can find good food here, but it's perhaps not always going to be the best. Let's head this way. We're going to head this way now for, well, the things you might not like so much. So let's start with, so I mentioned it was expensive, and it is. Okay, so especially if you're staying here in Venice itself, hotels are going to really cost you. Very expensive. If you want an espresso in St. Mark's Square, we were looking at one the other day. We thought that'd be a nice place to sit. How much is an espresso? €9. No, forget that. Getting around can be expensive, like the vaporatos, which are kind of like the public water buses. If you can pay €9.50 for a ticket, and that will get you 75 minutes travel, so however far you can get in 5 minutes, that might seem quite a lot, €9.50. But bear in mind, if you wanted to, you could, and I advise you, if you wanted to go out to one of the islands, like Murano or Burano, then get a one-day pass. Covers all the traffic here, all the modes of transport, obviously apart from gondolas and water taxis. And that's €25. So well worth it. Going inside, Doge's Palace is about €30. It's worth it. But again, you don't have to see it. There's lots of things, let's say, on the outside are still beautiful. So, second thing, the heat. So it's 32 degrees today. This is beginning of July, getting into high season. Yes, it is pretty hot. I would say, you know, it's still fine though. It's an excuse to do as the Italians do, maybe stop and sit in the shade and have lunch over the lunchtime hours, let things cool off a bit before you go out. It's really lovely in the mornings, it's really lovely in the evenings, so don't let the heat in the day put you off. Just be sensible, squirrel yourself away somewhere, enjoy the view. Next thing you might hate, depending on when you're here, is the flooding. So you've probably heard about flooding. The flooding here is becoming more frequent. Got more storm surges. If you were here in 2019, there was a particularly famous storm surge where 80% of the city was underwater. And this is all caused by a few different things, changing weather patterns, the fact that Venice is sinking about 1 millimetre a year, and also of course water levels are rising. Over the last 250 years, water levels have risen just over a foot, but of course with global warming that's set to accelerate, and of course with changing weather conditions too. It's the storm surges really that bring the flooding. But yes, so providing you're not here when it floods, you'll have a good time. Fourth thing, so if you've got any mobility issues, you might find getting around a little more complicated, mainly because bridges have steps, and there are 400 bridges connecting all the little islands. So at some point you're going to encounter either getting on and off water taxis and bridges. It can be done, but bear in mind, it's going to be a bit tricky. Also, if you're wheeling around all your luggage during the day, if you're staying in the heart of Venice somewhere, bear in mind you're going to have to be dragging all that with you up and down, all down the little back alleys. So you might want to pack light. And then let's look at the fifth thing. The fifth thing really is, and you can guess what I'm going to say, can't you? Although looking down here, you'd never guess it. But it's tourists. Yep. Tourism. Not people like me, of course, naturally. I'm not a tourist, good Lord. Well, of course I am. Yes, tourism. If you stick to the main squares and you follow the main routes, of course, you're going to walk along with an awful lot of other people. Although here in June, it hasn't been too bad at all, actually. I thought that'd be something that'd be a bit annoying. It's been fine. But the great thing about Venice is, though, of course, if you do what everyone else is doing, if you jump on the same buses, if you walk the same routes, the same famous promenades and squares at the same time, then of course you're going to see lots and lots of other people all doing exactly the same thing. However, there's lots of places where you can just turn off a main street, a main thoroughfare, and you can get lost in a maze of little streets like this one. I've not been down here before, but just to show you. And there you'll discover new little cafes that are going to be cheaper than in the main areas. You're going to find shade, which you really need in the middle of the day, and that's just where you come across all the cute little bridges and the cute little scenarios and dioramas, the little cute little scenes that are particularly Venetian. So there we are. And of course, another way to avoid the press of people is to, come outside the tourist time. Okay, so come early, maybe like May to June, or September to October, or of course, come out early in the morning. Everyone else is piling away at their buffet breakfasts, so you can wander the streets to yourself. Or of course, stay late. Everyone else is probably taking the trains home, and you can wander the streets, soak up the atmosphere. So, hope you found that helpful. We've got loads more videos on Venice. Just check out the channel. We'll be uploading them as we're uploading this one. And from us, take care, look after yourselves, happy traveling. See you soon.